Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for EIV webinar on Tech for Volunteer Management with Platform Commons. Every Indian Volunteering is an initiative by India Welfare Trust, where we hope to scale up volunteering in India. We're building a community of people who want to support promoting volunteering in India through engaging volunteers in any cause area for any time period. The idea is to support existing volunteering organizations in scaling up their volunteering programs. We do that through building a community so that we can connect them to more people in volunteering. We also offer occasional financial grants. We run an incubator called Evolve, where we fund entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs who are driving change through the power of volunteering. Thank you for joining us today. Before we start talking about the webinar, something about Satyam. So Satyam is not only the co-founder of Platform Commons, he has also interestingly been a college professor at Christ University. So when I was prepping the webinar, I knew that people could ask him questions 100 times and he would answer it, because I'm sure he has said that in his class that please ask me questions as many times as you want, as long as you have clarity. I hope he will also be able to maintain the decorum of the room with his strictness and his engagement styles. Thank you, Satyam, for joining us. A little bit more. So, in this initiative of building the EIV community, we are also building resources. So, one similar resource that we are building is that we are building a toolkit around recruiting large-scale youth volunteers. And while we were doing that, we spoke with several volunteering organizations on how do they recruit their volunteers, what are some best practices, how can similar organizations learn from them. One such organization I spoke with was MAD. And if you know about MAD, and I'm building this context because this is going to help, not because I like to blabber. I get to do that every 2 weeks. So MAD, what they do is that they have identified that for every volunteer that they want to recruit, they need to get 3 times the applications that they want. And we spoke to them that you engage with close to 5,000 volunteers every year. How do you get 15,000 applications? So one of their key ways, a very unique ways how they do it is through peer-to-peer outreach, that they ask their existing volunteers how to get more volunteers. And they do it beautifully through tech. And I just thought that giving some context would help, because Satyam's going to talk about these organizations on how they're using tech to recruit volunteers at large scale. He's going to talk about organizations. He'll take case studies of organizations engaging large scale volunteers, small scale, short-term projects, one-time volunteering, and so on. So thank you so much, Satyam, for putting this forward. I have attended one of your sessions 2 years ago and I was mind blown. I was also mind blown when we were doing the recce and we were doing the deck review of the deck. I hope people find it as useful as I did. Over to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Megha, for setting the context. I'm hoping I am clearly audible, Megha.
Yes.
Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you so much. Let me just quickly share my screen as I start. So I'll keep the introductions towards the end. I thought I'll maximize the use of my time. I'm sure all of you are busy. So just a quick introduction of Platform Commons. We are a technology company that got incubated in Mindtree in 2013. And 2020 onwards, we run as an independent foundation. Today, we have multiple platforms. 3 of them are listed here, which may be relevant to some attendees of the webinar today. Today, we serve more than 5 million beneficiaries across the country through our platforms. Today, 99% of our work is going to be about our civic tech platform, which is also known as volunteering platform. And we are rebranding it in the coming month as Better Together. We'll talk about these platforms, but civic tech platform has been one of our newest kid on the block while we are operating from 2013. With civic tech platform, what you see today is the work that we have done in the last 3.5 years. So before I proceed, just wanted to let everyone know that today's demo or today's webinar is actually not a product demo. I was clearly told that not to sell technology, rather talk about case studies on how other organizations are using the platform. Before I jump to the case studies though, let me very quickly tell you what we do, right, in volunteering space. If you work with us, you will be able to launch your own volunteering platform on a click of a button. You will be able to brand it the way you want it to be branded. You'll be able to put your own logos and colors. You'll be able to publish your opportunities of your kind the way you publish opportunities to engage volunteers, right from events, internships, courses, projects, fellowships, fundraisers, etc. The volunteers can log into your platform and filter basis on their skills, their interests, their location, whatever. And the platform is location aware, and the platform is language aware. We do not treat volunteers as a data record, so they get to log in to the platform. That means they're a user on your platform. Not only you get to register volunteers on one side, you actually make it a true marketplace where you can have your partner nonprofits or CSRs, etc., log in and publish opportunities. We just put it on steroids, and this is an oversimplification diagram over here. This is how one of our screens look. So before I jump to case studies, again, jumping to some basic stuff on how we work with nonprofits. We have three different models in which we operate. The first one is a vanilla volunteer management system, which is, I'm going to share some case studies today on how they're using it. So this is for early stage, small size nonprofits on a shoestring budget. This is vanilla VMS. Then all of those features and some more put together, we have a model called Volunteer Community Portal, which means that your volunteers will now be able to access your branded volunteer portal. So we white label it. We work with many CSRs who do a single sign-on, and all of those features we'll talk about. And the finally volunteer marketplace that has everything combined in its one avatar, where you can have your partner nonprofits, governments, etc., log in, publish opportunities, engage volunteers, and you play the role of a market governor, ensure the matchmaking is happening rightly, the networking feeds, people are not abusing each other, writing the rules of the technology marketplace, and so on and so forth. So that's the background. Some screens, if you are using the admin panel, this is how it looks. So what you see on the left-hand side in the menu are various opportunities that you can publish. This is a single page where you can see all your volunteers in one place. You have volunteers, number of signups, applicants, draft applicants, alumni, and exits, everything in one place. Each of them will have a detailed profile, not going into the detail. On the community side, that means on the volunteer side, they'll be able to see opportunities to apply to. They'll be able to create their own profile, etc. Right? So this is all the product demo I get to do. Now moving to case studies. I've divided this section into four, the next 20-30 minutes into four sections. And all of these case studies that I'm going to share with you, we'll be able to place them on a volunteering funnel. So what is this volunteering funnel? So when we look at any engagement that we do with our partners, we see them somewhere in the funnel, right? We'll talk about what this funnel is. So on the top of the funnel, we have organizations that primarily work with large number of volunteers, right? When I say large number of volunteers, these citizens actually are wanting to become volunteers, so they're exploring it. They're usually engaged in smaller acts of kindness. Volunteering lasts for about a few hours to a weekend. And then as you go down the funnel towards the bottom, you will see people who are impact driven. They'll join your organization as full-time volunteers, fellows, maybe for 2 years or longer, and then eventually looking to launch their career in the social space. In between of the funnel, there are various types of organizations. In today's session, we'll cover the entire funnel, but let's start with from the middle of the funnel, which is organizations that engage with volunteers, which are cause driven. They know what they're getting into. They are relatively more committed than people on above the funnel. And organizations, because they are engaging them for a longer time, require a different set of tools. Like people on the funnel require different sets of tools. We'll talk about that. So the first slide, the first case study I'm referring to actually pertains to two organizations we have worked with. One is Make a Difference and You and I. I love working with both the organizations because I've been a fan of their work. So in both of these organizations, I've tried to generalize their needs, oversimplify them also, but primarily their requirements are in three different buckets. One is onboarding. Large number of volunteers have to be onboarded and recruited. Then once they're recruited, you want to put them to work. And this work is actually a week, year-long weekend work, so about 52 weekends of committed work. We need to ensure that they're committed, they're engaged, etc. And then some administrative tools for managing people, right? And specifically mentioning onboarding separately with all the requirements, because what MAD and UNI does, they basically assess their volunteer needs for the year and look at what target they need to recruit. What's the recruitment target? They first reach out to the existing volunteers and see if they want to stay in the organization for another year or get promoted to higher level, etc. Whatever is the delta, they identify what is the skill gap in the organization today in terms of volunteering. So we hire only those. Then we'll set up an application and recruitment process. A huge part of the recruitment is countrywide marketing events, which are both offline, online, or hybrid. And integral to what Megha was saying earlier, integral to this whole process is referral campaign. So if I'm a volunteer, I've just applied, I need to, I can refer my friends, etc. Right? So this is how, I mean, they do a lot more, but we'll talk about only technology, how it has enabled it. Once you've recruited, you have various shelter homes or learning centers you got to manage, you got to understand who the beneficiaries are, optimize the calendar for volunteer availability, then volunteers mark the attendance of the beneficiary. This is very education specific because both of these organizations engage volunteers in teaching or mentoring. Right? We'll talk about other case studies and briefly touch upon education. We've done gamification, communication through email, event management, etc. So let me just quickly through a few screenshots tell you how they do all of this. The first screen is where the volunteer lands on the MAD website. This is what they manage. All of their volunteer traffic comes here. They click on apply now. That's where they start engaging with our platform. What we have designed as a sign up portal looks very similar to Google Forms. It is designed as forms, keeping in mind that the end users are generally comfortable with forms layout. But in the background, this form is super intelligent. Every time the volunteer enters the field, we try and enrich the profile of the volunteer rather than just capturing the data in a form and keeping it as a data record. So the moment somebody writes their email ID, an OTP comes, and then they start up the sign-up process, the creation of their profile on the system is implicit. Every time they give us access to reach to them as WhatsApp, we capture the consent that they've given us to reach out to them on WhatsApp, and so on and so forth. So,
उन्हें कहा जाता है बेनिफिशियरीज. इसके बाद अगर आप
request everyone to go on mute, please. Yeah, thank you. So then quickly, once we have the basic details of the volunteers, we ask them about what city they want to volunteer in and what is your preferred role. We can ask 2 or 3 preferences, and we talk about all of these roles through a video format. So before they apply, they actually see what is the role they're applying for. This is the screen they send out to all of their volunteers before the academic year ends. They ask the volunteers in case they want to continue working with MAD for another year. If they say yes, we ask them what is their city, their role. If they want to change their role, they can, etc. And if they say no, then they automatically become the alumni in the system. This is the recruitment target screen where the entire organization plans the recruitment drive. MAD, UNI, and other similar organization expects more than 50,000, 80,000 volunteers to apply, but their targets are very, very strict because they have to fill in certain number of positions. So for every city, every center, we put the required numbers, we put the retained numbers, what is the target, and then what is the sourcing target? Generally, we source 3 times, and how much of those targets are actually covered and reached in percentages so that we know where we need more marketing and for which roles. You have academic support, wingmen, fundraising, etc. So you have you can define your own roles for your organization. This is what a screen of a volunteer looks like when they become the user on the platform. So they can refer their friends. Once they refer their friends through a given URL, a customized link given to them, they can ask their friends on WhatsApp, email, LinkedIn to apply, and they get to see the status in real time. Have they been selected, rejected, waitlisted, etc. All shows up to them so that they know all their referrals have worked or not. This completely avoids using any third-party tools. I won't name some, but there are many tools that just does this, which comes integrated with the platform. Now, this is where all of the marketing happens of MAD, UNI, etc. They publish many events. Once an event goes live, who all attended the events versus who all were invited for the event. So 150 volunteers invited, 121 were present. You'll be able to see if it was a multi-day event, how was the presence percentage looking like. Now, when sometimes in those events, generally what happens is there's a person who is sitting at the door asking when people come in with their phone number and marking them present. Or if it is a hybrid or an online event, they can publish a QR code, people can scan it and mark their attendance. So if you scan this QR code, you will be seeing a very easy screen where you can actually mark the attendance, or you can directly come onto the volunteering portal if you've enabled it and mark the attendance for that day. Marking attendance for events is so critical because if they miss any event, then we can invite them for further events in their city so that they don't miss attending some induction or orientation about the organization. Now they've applied to the platform. This is how the recruitment happens. It's a end-to-end volunteer recruitment, or I would say end-to-end recruitment automation platform where you get to see every volunteer who has applied, you get to see their profile, you get to recruit them across multiple stages. So if you have an initial screening, you have a telephonic interview, you have face-to-face interview, events, etc. You can all set them as stages. And for every stage, you can change the status of the particular applicant as hired, reject, accept, waitlisted, etc. And the notification, the email and the SMS and the WhatsApp notification that you define on your own can go to these people immediately as you take action. So there is no need to follow up and send emails, system does it. Now the volunteer is recruited, they have been hired, now let's place them. So after talking to them through a face-to-face interview, in some cases phone, we look at what is their nearest center. If your organization does not work in an education domain, think of it if you're working in agriculture or healthcare, if you want to align a volunteer to an old age home nearby. So you know that what are the slots available to you on what days and what center and what section, etc. You will be able to see available spots. You will be able to deploy a volunteer and freeze that volunteer for the coming year or change it later. But this is your deployment screen, no matter which industry you work with, but this is a very education example I'm showing you. Now, taking a deviation for about 1 minute, if your organization works in the education sector, because we've seen and observed a lot of organizations work in the education sector who work with volunteers, you get to manage all your volunteers, centers, learning centers in one place. You'll be able to see schools, you'll be able to see their calendars, you'll be able to design sessions with them, you'll be able to understand what is your volunteering target based on the slots available, and that will automatically become your sourcing target, etc., all integrated. So you know for each of the slots, what is the volunteer requirement, how many have been allocated, and how many more needs to be hired. Now, once a volunteer logs into the system, they've been hired, now they have to do the task to go to the center, take the attendance, mark assessments of students, etc. This is dedicated, committed volunteer for 52 weeks, and hence they have a dedicated app for their volunteering efforts. In case you do not engage volunteers in long-term volunteering, this doesn't apply, right? So you have an app for your volunteering. You'll be able to click on a class, take attendance, mark the feedback for the class, assign a substitute to your class if you are absent for some reason. Here is an activity tracker where you can log efforts if you've done something other than teaching. For example, you're engaged in fundraising. You can say on 12th of January, I engaged for 4 hours in fundraising, so that you can calculate volunteering hours. A very simple volunteering activity tracker, assessments for students, etc. This is the center manager logging in. seeing today's sessions, attendance, approvals, credits, etc. So you can mark attendance of volunteers, approve or disapprove, substitute volunteers, etc. Coming back to volunteering domain now, this is where you see a list of all your volunteers. The blue dots and the orange dots and the green dots talk about whether the volunteer is new, spent 3 to 5 years, or older than 5 years in the organization. So you identify just by looking at the dot who is a seasoned volunteer, right? This is the volunteer profile. When I click on any volunteer, I get to see the detailed profile. I get to see the work history. I get to see the points. I get to see the badge this person has, issue a certificate, whatnot, right? So this is the work history screen where I can see if I've been engaged in multiple projects and what is the completion stage. Yeah, so in case you want to mark a, exit to a volunteer, then you can, ban a particular volunteer from logging into your system if the person did a misconduct or wanted to opt out, etc. So I'll make a pause here. We'll take the questions at the end of the session. This was the first case study on how organizations like Make a Difference, you and I, and other organizations in the middle of the funnel are using the tool. So I'll take a short break for you to, this is not my professor skills coming in between, but I think it's always good to understand your perspective. If you could read this question and in the chat window, quickly talk about what do you think about this question. I can quickly take some questions. So Rajiv said, can it be integrated with our website? Yes, we always integrate with your existing websites. WordPress is default. So if you're running a website on WordPress, we can integrate with that or any others, right? So the question here is, what challenges does your organization face that you believe technology can solve? Anything that comes to your mind, you can put in the chat window. It'll help me organize my next half of the session better.
Are there any wrong answers, Satyam? Do we get any deductions?
No. I think new ideas get extra marks.
Yes. Anagar says that acquiring volunteers in a short time is something.
Great, wonderful. Short time. So, great, wonderful. We'll talk about this during the session. Yes, Shrikant, everything is mobile responsive and it's a PWA, which means that it can be packaged as an app and you can download it from the Play Store. Any other questions, guys? Video meetings. Wonderful. We'll talk about that. Great. So a lesson to be learned in the next 15 minutes of my session is that do keep your questions ready on pen and paper. Once I finish the session, I'll be happy to take questions and elaborate. Yeah.
Sorry, there's some more suggestions in the chat, Satyam. Sorry.
Volunteer project management, wonderful. We'll cover that too. Is it a CRM? Yes, it is absolutely designed as a CRM, catering to the needs of the civic engagement initiatives of yours. So in case you want to use it purely as a CRM, you can, but you will see some fancy features to engage those people into your work. Automating tasks for volunteers, great. For like a week in prior, done. We'll talk about that. Fundraising, also doable. Sampath, we are, I could maybe show some screens to you today. We are actually going to launch fundraisers. In fact, two types of fundraisers. One is volunteers as givers themselves, or volunteers turning as fundraisers for you. So we'll talk about that during the session as well. Automating schedules, perfect. Great. So I've got enough content for my next thing. So let me move on, talk about the next case study, which is somewhere above, like near the top of the funnel, not really at the entry of the funnel. And this is where Padhao India, Yuvaka Sangha, Campus to Community, and similar organizations are using. And I specifically brought this this particular case study because it becomes very interesting as you go up the funnel. You have a large number of volunteers to manage. right? So therefore, the selection, could it be automated? Who will interview those large number of people? Can volunteers select their own project or workspace? Can we auto assign them projects and tasks, right? Can volunteers automatically onboard their beneficiaries, right? We don't really have to map beneficiaries to the volunteers every time. And the volunteering work may not be with education per se, it could be with any task that you ask them to do. So we need a standard volunteer project management system where they can actually do the task, upload the evidence of the work done, and get their certificate. Very generic, right? Now, because as you go up the funnel, it is important to keep them engaged because they're not very committed as towards the bottom of the funnel. So you need to deploy technology to keep them engaged through networking feeds, task notifications, email communications, etc. Right? So this was the problem statement we went out on the top of the funnel with, and here are again some of the screens. So when a volunteer logs in, you can switch on a feed where volunteers could engage with each other. So as the network effects kick in, when you talk about large number of volunteers, then it becomes a self-sustaining community, right? Where you could obviously moderate what goes on. Then they can look at the available projects that they are assigned. I'll tell you in a while how they can auto pick these projects on their own, but let's say if they're assigned some projects, they can see them here with the progress, tasks, overall progress, etc. Now, because it is such a large number of volunteers applying to available opportunities on your platform, let's say a waste management program or a water management program, volunteers generally apply to the project and then they are asked to pick up which is their nearest area they want to deploy this impact project in. So for example, some NSS students logged in, and I'm talking about more than 1.5 lakh volunteers in the last 6 months on our platform engaged themselves in self-service mode, right? And Campus to Community is one such example, but there are many examples where organizations are engaging in self-service fashion. So you select as a volunteer a district, a nearest neighborhood, and see the available schools and colleges nearby. You select and you see projects that are pre-assigned to you because you clicked on waste management, and therefore a template waste management project will be applied to your work. You click on the project and you will see all the activities predefined for you, that you have to talk about waste segregation, you have to do an activity, you have to talk about a story, you have to do an assignment with the kids, and so on and so forth. These are predetermined tasks given to volunteer for them to do, let's say in a school or in a neighborhood or anything like that. Now, because they're self-managed and self-engaged, how will they know how to do these activities? So when they actually click on any of these tasks, they get a little to-do to read on how they can do it. This to-do could also have videos along with it, etc. And once they have done a particular task, they're supposed to, let's say, upload an image. What they do is they upload a photograph once they've done a task. All of this happens on a mobile phone. Everything is happening through a mobile. They upload a photo on what actually they did during the session. And finally, when they mark a thing done, you have to say, great job. How long did it take to what is your overall rating, any feedback you want to give, etc. And then you get some points. So we've gamified as you complete more tasks with evidence, you get more points without, I mean, it's like Google Maps, right? You give a review to somebody, you get 1 point, but if you upload an evidence, it could be wrong evidence. I know that there are those issues. But then if you upload an evidence of something which can then be verified by the administrator or revoke the points from the administrator side as well. And once you are done with the particular project, the mentor of the project can see who all were the volunteers, can upload certificates, can upload recommendation letters from within the project, and it'll be emailed to you. Simple stuff. And as I said, all of this happened on a mobile phone. So you can see some photographs being uploaded, some chats happening in the feed, the project tasks on their mobile phone, etc. So you can say, again, the things that you do on task tracking apps, and you pay license fees for that. Again, I don't want to name. So this feature is also integrated within the volunteer management system. Some people may call it CRM, etc. So it's all integrated in one. You don't really have to be on multiple platforms. You have Facebook and WhatsApp like timeline. You have Asana, Trello like task tracker, and so on and so forth, all in one place. Third case study, which I'll quickly move on. This is again a very interesting case study of Reach One. Now, what Reach One does, very interestingly, they make students from schools volunteer in a paid manner, especially from students from the international school who see doing social work as a part of building their profile in case they want to apply to foreign universities, right? Keep one thing in mind, that these are school students and hence parent consent is required, and hence we built that feature out. It's a rigorous interview process because we don't want to encourage a certain kind of children doing a certain kind of tasks. So we know that they are really committed. It's a paid program, and hence people need to pay a registration fee, and a payment gateway integration has to happen. Now, because it's a completely virtual engagement, there needs to be a Zoom integration or a Google Meet integration. Monthly payments need to be collected from volunteers. And I must recommend this model for many nonprofits in case you're trying to not monetize, but sustain your operations in the volunteering space, and how Reach One has been able to do it, right? Auto recording and report abuse feature, and all of those things. So let me take you through some screens. I'll take the question. I'm seeing some questions. I'll take them in the end. So as I sign up, the first thing I'm asking, I mean, you can define whether minor in your definition is below 18 or below 13. Facebook defines it below 13. So you choose when somebody is signing up, we ask them their age. And if they're below 13 or below 18, we ask their parents' details. Parents get an email saying that your ward or your child is trying to register on so-and-so platform. Click here to give consent or revoke consent. So when they click on that link on their email, this is what they see. They see their details is trying to, sign up, etc. They approve. May I please request everyone to be on mute? Yeah. So this is the screen when they actually do mentoring online. I want you to pay attention over here. So every remote volunteering session, we have done an integration with Zoom. That means you don't have to leave the interface to go to Zoom to define the session, etc. You just click on create link. It gives you a joining link. It gives you a meeting ID. You can set up invites, and automatically the notification goes to all the invitees. In case the invitee or the beneficiary is a minor, then the NGO partner gets a notification. The parent of the minor gets a notification. The person who's volunteering, in this case, also a minor, 11th standard student or a 9th standard student, his or her parent also gets a notification that your child is now defining another class. Now, what happened during the class, right? So when you do an online mentoring session, through an API with Zoom or Google Meet, the recording automatically gets stored on cloud, gets migrated from Zoom to our platform so that it remains forever. And the recording link is shown here in the name of it, 6 December, 3:44 p.m. So when I click here, I actually can see what happened in the class, right? Now, moving to the payments part of it. So every project can have its own fee. So you can define a joining fee and a monthly fee. Monthly fee is a recurring fee for as long as the project runs, the volunteer will pay. I mean, this is only sample amounts. These are not actuals. So once this happens, when the volunteer logs into their own profile, they get to see that I'm supposed to pay so much on so and so date. Notification goes. This is like you paying on Amazon or any other marketplace or any other online purchase. If you have paid through any payment gateway integration that we support, you can see the invoice, which has a GST, which can be claimed if you're a company, and so on and so forth. All of those accounting measures have also been taken. This is where we talk about notifications and settings. So if it is a regular task to be done at home, those notifications. If it is an online mentoring session, those notifications. If it is a project level notification, then those notifications can all be configured here through email, etc. Now, again, as you go up the funnel, you need to do online induction. You need to have people learn on their own about the organization. So there is a complete LMS integrated into it. So people can sign up, look for a video, and so on and so forth. As you go more up the funnel, you have DIY projects. You can select any project from the library, use the template, and start doing with evidences. Finally, last 5 minutes or 10 minutes of my session. towards the bottom of the funnel, where you are engaging those people who have taken a decision to commit themselves to social work for a longer period of time, which could mean 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years of full-time work, leaving their corporate jobs or right out of college. Their needs are something else. Example here, Bhumi Fellowship and Youth for India Fellowship and other similar fellowships who use our platforms. Here, the number of applicants are in lakhs, while the available opportunities are in hundreds or thousands. I'm talking about across platform. So there needs to be a way in which the system could suggest us who are the right applicants. I mean, it could suggest us the top 1%, top 5%, could auto tentatively reject them, could auto waitlist them, and then manually somebody could actually take a decision on them. Then because the number of applicants are so many, there is a committee-based recruitment process, which means that previous years volunteers are now becoming the committee on selection committee, and then they are recruiting them, etc. There is an essay-based question. This is like when you apply to any university, right? You have to submit a profile, etc. So on and so forth. You submit a case study, and the case study also, by the way, let me tell you one example here. One case study that was out there for one of the fellowships, it had more than 50,000 applications. The answers of that went on to YouTube, and there are people writing on YouTube on how to apply to this case study and what is the right approach to solve this case study, and so on and so forth. So we built an automation that case studies could be randomized. So we uploaded some 50 case studies so that everybody who logs in sees a different case study, and so on and so forth. I mean, I may not have more time to share, but let me quickly share some screens. So when somebody is applying for fellowship, we can ask for references, a professional reference or academic reference. It triggers a mail to them. If they give reference to them, then it gets auto-recorded in the system at the time of hiring. It helps. Now, let's say if I'm looking at a particular volunteer or a fellow profile, here I see that if you look at this, applicant's eligibility check failed. That means the system has automatically put this candidate in tentatively rejected status, which means system did the job for you because essay answers word count was not enough. Something else, inspiration answer was not appropriate, and preference choice and application was also wrong. And system changed the status of application from pending to tentatively rejected based on the system defined check. That's how you automate. I mean, this is the power of automation when thousands of applicants. So if you see here in this particular screenshot, so many got tentatively rejected. Now moving to some other screens where, so you see that you have filled in with essays and case studies. So we automatically do a plagiarism check. So in case you, in this use case applies to you, everything comes integrated. Yeah, so that's where I would stop, and let me quickly take some questions and maybe then move to some screens that answers your questions. I could go on longer, but yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe you can take 2-3 more minutes if you want to finish, and then.
No, that's okay. I saw some very good questions. So as I answer, I'll cover those points.
Yeah, just want to say, sorry, Satyam, that Satyam may not be a professor and may not give you extra marks, but he is a co-founder and may give you extra discounts. So, yeah.
Yeah, in case you are looking to use our platform, yes, please do reach out. By the way, in the chat, in the participants window, you will see Amit Nair and Yashwant, both from Platform Commons. In case you want to reach out, talk to them about anything or a demo or a one-on-one session, then we can quickly do that. Yes, Ms. Rukaya Joshi, please go ahead. You raised your hand.
Yes, so thank you, Satyam. I would want to sort of add a few points to what you have done, particularly when I see a lot of people in the audience who are representing certain organizations. So as a management professor, it has been my passion, and I have introduced the volunteer management system as something which the not-for-profits must look at, right from assessing the needs as to what kind of volunteers they need, You have particularly made reference to youth as the volunteers, but I would like to advocate that with the health of our Indian longevity improving, and we do have retirement age not really advancing, we do have a large number of people 60 plus, and they are into working age up to 75 with a lot of wisdom, skills, abilities, and that could be one area of volunteerism which I think most of the NGOs must look at. You have talked about sourcing and other things which the NGOs are managing, but I think we need to really look at how that is to be done, because skill sets adjustment is very, very important to try and get the outcome of the volunteers. Generally, it is believed that volunteers come free, but it is not so. There is a lot of cost associated with training, mistakes they do, time they waste, the gaps that there are, and a lot of other things that you mentioned. And therefore, volunteerism does not really come free. There is a lot of importance given to preparing the rest of the staff so that these volunteers go out to be very effective, they are welcomed, they do work well, and they are given resources and things like that. There are small questions about whether you are giving the
Ma'am, sorry.
TADA or not. Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. I agree. I think I understand how volunteer management, all of us understand volunteer management is a full-time role. There are organizations that actually opt for volunteer managers like a paid role, and there's a lot of cost that's involved. I would request if you have questions regarding what Satyam spoke, because I know that although he's a professor and he's talking about volunteering, I think his skills limit to what he's talking about.
I'd like to put that question.
Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah. So, Mr. Kaya, basically what I understand from you is that, see, our technology, let me first talk about technology. So a lot of our, not lot, I would say about 15-20% of the volunteer base on our platform. When I say our platform, I actually mean any of our customers leveraging our technology platform actually are of the age above 60. And we have had special requests from these organizations to build apps specifically to those people who have issues using new age apps. So when I saw one of our apps becoming a constraint in volunteering to a 75-year-old who was teaching in a shelter home, we actually launched a upgraded version of the application that was more old people friendly, right? And with every new use case that we find, we are happy to engage on a use case by use case basis and make it friendly for that particular kind of audience. We completely understand that technology will have a role to play in order to engage retired people in the country. Yeah, and a lot of tech we build is also to improve efficiencies for volunteer organizations, whether it's volunteer management app or whether it's engagement, etc. So all of those things that today take a lot of time of that person whose salary is being incurred by the organization to manage volunteers, we're trying to empower that person in the organization so that in less amount of time can achieve more. This is what I learned from your question. Yes, so do we own the platform or will it be owned by our organization? So Abhishek, there are multiple models in which you could leverage tech. The easiest way is to use it as a SaaS mode. SaaS mode is like the way you use Zoom. You pay a subscription, you start using the Zoom. You don't own Zoom. Second model is where you white label it, but still use it as SaaS. For example, Shopify. You go to Shopify, you build your own shop, you put your own logo on it, and you go out and use it. So for practical purposes, your customer feels it's your shop, but it is still hosted on our server, and hence you pay for it. The third model is where you want to host the entire technology platform on your own server. We have done that with a handful of organizations, not with everybody, but because we want to ensure that the organization that owns this piece of tech should also have the ability to enhance it, to upkeep it, to maintain it, right? And hence in case you want to own this technology on your own server, etc., we can talk about it. Rohit asked me a question, can give specific permission to some volunteers like lead volunteers, etc. Yes, everything on the platform has role-based access control. You define your organization roles and you switch off the roles, switch off the access you don't want to give to a junior most volunteer, but you want to give it to senior most. We call it role-based access control, and that's a part of the system. So once you start using the platform, you first define the roles, give them permissions. Anaga says, will the organization have a separate portal that could be shared with employees of the firm? Absolutely. So you can have yourcompany.com if you're a CSR, because you're talking about employees of the firm. So you can have yourcompany.com or volunteers.yourcompany.com, completely designed for your company's branding. And a login could be behind the single sign-on. So if you're using Outlook or Google Workspace, you don't have to remember passwords. But in case you want to launch the platform, volunteering platform for the employees' families, you can, I mean, there are many case studies there also we can talk about. But the answer is yes. Can the platform be customized based on our programs and needs? There is no deployment, Sampath, that we have done without customization. Everybody needs customization. It's a completely bottom-up built platform. It is not built upon a Zoho or upon a Salesforce or on some existing platform, and hence it gives infinite capabilities to customize it. As long as we know that what we are building will suit the customer's need, it can be achieved. Then how different is this from learning management system? I could do this on an LMS too. Okay, Sampath. So the learning part of volunteering can be done on an LMS. But today you do volunteering management on, let's say, a Zoho Creator or a Salesforce. And then you go out to do a MailChimp to do communication. You go to a turn.io or some other third-party tool to do WhatsApp. Then you have Facebook and WhatsApp for networking. Then you have Trello or Asana for something else. And you have an LMS that is on some other tool where learning happens. Here we are saying that you will have learning definitely as a need and hence integrated, but it gives you the 99 other capabilities also. Sampath, did I understand your question correctly? Because there was a LMS screen on my presentation, something it is coming from there.
Yeah, it's like, I think, yeah, more customized for volunteers, but like I've also seen a few LMSs which also has a lot of these features, but I think it's a pain to kind of do all that you guys have already put it together. I'm sure it's more focused.
Yeah, and we deliberately call it as a civic tech platform where volunteering is one use case, Sampath, because a lot of our organizations who are using it outside India also, they are using it to manage citizen engagement. For example, there are people in Peru who are using the platform to list forests, and people are talking about what they can do for the forest on the platform. They're not necessarily volunteers, but they care about the forest and they go plant a tree, put a selfie, kind of a semi-volunteer. And on the other extreme, we have fellowships, which are quite different from how volunteering organizations work, are also using the platform, and hence we are using the word civic engagement, which will require all of these capabilities. Okay, can you show some aspects of handling CSR project? So Shrikant, drop me a message. We have a CSR demo coming soon. So this is my phone number, my email ID. And by the way, if people want to maybe start going, it's very important that you refer to our website called, our website is platformcommons.org, but we recently launched a app marketplace, which is called digitalcommons.io. It today caters to education domain, civic engagement, and agriculture. And you will see all the apps that we have done so far listed all in one place. This is last 7-8 years of tech work that we have done all in one place with the use cases. So if you go there with civic engagement as a domain, you'll be able to see all the use cases in one place. If you see volunteer management, volunteers as teachers, all of these are use cases that you can find here. Each use case is very detailed, described. So this is very, it will be very helpful for those organizations who are considering building a new tech or hiring a new tech, what all use cases fit to your organization or you could leverage. This is the link that I can put in the chat also.
Thanks, Satyam. There are more questions towards the in the chat box. In the meantime, I just want to share a feedback form for everyone to share feedback on the session. How do you think it was? And you can also opt to set up a one-on-one call with the platform comments in the form. You can opt that. It will also help us to send you more updates on our future webinars, and you can also join the EIV WhatsApp community by filling out the feedback form. Thanks. Would request if people can take 2 minutes and fill out that form. Satyam, there are a lot of questions in chat. If you can look at it.
And they're all great questions. So the first was about, the one that I missed was automating schedule for volunteers. So as you would have seen that you have an entire project management system in one place where you can define tasks and you can assign tasks to people. For example, here, these could be templatized projects. When a volunteer logs in, they can see a pre-created set of tasks and they can see admin or mentor can keep assigning them a week before, or even when you just start the project, what is the due date, what is the actual completion date, and how you should do it. All of this that you can automate, even sending notifications, etc. And once you do it, you can also log hours. I think I showed you that screen of logging hours and star rating everything. So this is one. There was another question related automating schedules for volunteers. Okay, schedules for volunteers. So in case, I think one minor use case that we did for a small organization in Delhi was that various volunteers join at various intervals, right? Not everybody joins on 1st of the month. So when they join, all the tasks should get scheduled for T+3, T+4, T+5, T+7, those days. So we had put automation to that based on when volunteers come in, they see that particular project. It's a DIY set of environment there, and a lot of school students go there to do their volunteering projects. And if a certain task is not done by the due date, that's when they get an email notification and the automation kicks in. Volunteer project management, Ashima, you asked, that's already covered. It is a CRM too, Sampath. Yes, a lot of its capabilities. And let me also see if I can show you a screen which will tell you about its communication capabilities. Not sure if I have that screen handy. Yeah, so one thing is about communication. So a lot of these CRMs would not have that. So for example, you want to send an email to some volunteers. You can actually define your own email templates in one place. So a lot of automated communication to your volunteers would happen from within the system. And for example, send a welcome mail to somebody who has joined the system on T+3 days, right? So you can automate here. Or on T+7, you could send an induction video, or maybe every 4th Saturday or 3rd Saturday, send them a webinar link to join for induction. So all of those automation also is built in here. We are working on building SMSs and WhatsApp integration, but email is already out there. So in that case, it does integrate some functions of CRM as well. Then video meetings, Megha, we spoke about that. We provide native integrations with Zoom and Google Meet, both. Yes, mobile, all of it is mobile responsive. Did I miss any questions?
Yeah, if fundraising can happen.
All right. Fundraising. See, Sampath, fundraising. Okay, I think you, Sampath, can influence our thinking on how we are building fundraising. So I'll reach out to you separately if you can drop your email ID to one of my team members or me. So we are currently building donations and fundraisers both. And we are in talks with many payment gateway providers. So in about a month or month and a half, it will be a part of our offering where volunteers can go become fundraisers, and there'll be all leaderboards of who is raising maximum amount of money, who is, who raised more from women, who raised more from men, all of that analytics. And volunteers themselves could be givers, so they can, do monthly giving or one-time giving. So Garima says, at ISDM, we just want to create a skill mapping platform for corporate employees and NGOs with volunteer needs. Yeah, that is out of the box. So Garima, one of our, so if you look at, okay, so this is, sorry, I'm doing a demo, which I was told not to, but yeah, your need is met. So for example, if I log into the platform with my email ID, I have a profile, and I can do my skill mapping. So if you see on my profile, and by the way, when I'm signing up, I am asked all of these skills. And when I have skills, the system will show me relevant opportunities that match my skill. So when you upload an opportunity, you say what skills does the project require, or an internship or a fellowship require, or a job require. So this could also develop as a job platform for you, in case your college wants that. But yes, skill and project mapping is out of the box. Any more questions, guys?
Yeah, so I have a question. Could be an extension of what Garima is asking, and then we can take the next question. So I was once speaking with some corporate employee who looks at the volunteer management, and her question was that biggest challenge is that our system that we're using in our company does not allow people to register real time. So if an employee did not register for a volunteering activity when the sign up was sent and shows up on the day of the activity, they can't do a real time sign in. How do you think can this be solved through platform commons, and how can NGOs who are working with corporates who already have their own system integrate or use some of it to is this possible that they can use platform commons as well? And yeah, is my question clear? Sorry.
So the first question you mentioned was
Real-time attendance.
Real-time attendance, and I think I know what platform you're referring to. For example, let's say as a volunteer, I'm not logged in. I don't need to log in. Like on Amazon, you want to do window shopping without actually having a login or booking a ticket on Yatra. So what you do is you click on any opportunity, you apply, and like I told, this form is very intelligent in the backend. So all you have to do is just fill it up like a form, and you sign up real time. On the other side, the opportunity that you have published from this dashboard. Let me, because I had to log out there. Let me just log in again. Yeah, so all the people who have applied, you will be able to see here real time. Yeah, so any project that you have applied for, you can see all the applicants in one place here. Yeah, so if anybody has applied, you will see the applicant. You can actually click on the person, look at the profile, blah, blah, blah. All the screenshots that I showed you is all here, and it happens real time. Like they apply here, you see them here, and download Excel sheets, etc. are all a part of the platform. Sachin has an interesting question. Can we install it on our AWS server? Sachin, conditionally, you can, depends upon a lot of things. So we have given a source code to some of the leading nonprofit organizations globally, but we do not give it to anybody and everybody. There are technical reasons for it more than anything else, because a lot of open source softwares don't see a life beyond 4 or 5 years, and I come from open source background myself. Don't see life beyond a few years because of exactly this reason, because there are too many copies out there, and maintenance of a single code base is a big issue. So everybody is trying to reinvent the wheel on their own servers. We are trying to avoid that as much as we can, but we also understand the data security needs, ownership needs of large organizations. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Satyam. Thanks a lot for answering my question. Yeah, the data security is the only reason that I was asking it for, because like we work with some organizations which are like based out of Europe, and then data security is the reason, and we work in early years. So it became even more important over there and in India as well. So we just, I was just asking from that perspective. I'll write you separately for this, and then we can have a separate discussion. Thanks a lot for answering this.
Yeah, and just for your information that might help you, we are GDPR compliant, and in case hosting data is important, the software you can still use as SaaS, but data could be on your server. We have cracked that problem in some cases also.
Oh,
so you can use the data in your.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Raj is talking about analytics features. We are working on analytics. Maybe some screens I'll show you here. Some basic screens are already up. So we'll talk. We can actually show you total opportunities, total volunteers onboarded, how many are kind of waiting to join the organization, some demographics about gender, age, location, and things like that. So we have just started working on this. I think a lot of our volunteering analytics comes from only if you are using our community portal, right? Because if you are using our vanilla VMS, then your analytics will be very limited because you don't have your own real estate publicly visible. But for community panel, we'll give you all the analytics that you need, and we're building upon this.
Okay, Satyam. Yeah, and so my question is more about the program outcomes. You showed the kind of education sector, right, where volunteers go and teach, and what kind of improvements have happened due to their interventions. That kind of impact assessment.
We have tons of reports there, Raj. Tons. For example, what the first case study I showed you that make a difference and you and I are using, every center level, you have student level impact reports, learning levels, attendance level reports, volunteer attendance reports, and impact per rupee spend report. I don't have that screen yet, but when it comes to agriculture and education and skilling and employment domain, these three domains, we have done a PhD in giving out impact reports. Other domains like a healthcare or a water or a climate, we are building upon with domain experts.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
And of course, reports are a never-ending thing, Raj. So you will demand for a new report, and the team will rationalize it and build it.
Thanks, Satyam. So while we can continue with more questions, I want to inform that our next webinar that we're doing is around how can you assess the health of your volunteer community while you have a lot of tech solutions, but how do you know if your volunteering community is engaging well? How do you check that? And another reminder for forms, I am sure if you were using Satyam's platform, there would be some way to send feedback forms automatically, but because we're not doing that yet, please ensure that you fill the feedback form, and please feel free to unmute and ask questions. Thanks. And we're only going to answer some questions. So if you think that this is it, you may also leave. Thanks. Thanks, Satyam.
Sampath, your question about where do we source volunteers? So Sampath, we are in talks with LinkedIn, and we are also rebranding ourselves. Maybe by next month, you will see this brand out there. So far, we have been in beta. So now we're actually launching. So Better Together and LinkedIn are exploring some collaboration where any opportunity posted by smaller organizations on our platform would automatically get visibility in the relevant areas through LinkedIn, and we are hoping to build more partnerships. So maybe the problem of sourcing volunteers could be solved by that. And today we have more than 5 lakh volunteers on the platform through different means and ways. So when we have a single portal where we can expect all volunteers to come on, right now we are only white labeled and we had provided technology to only our partners. But once we have this one portal where we publish opportunities of all of our partners in one place, even if you're using a white label solution, you had 50 opportunities there. You can, upon consent, publish the opportunities on that meta place. You will hopefully have more applicants to your opportunity. And we are going to invest in marketing to a certain segment of audience ourselves as well.
Yes. Satyam, there's a question you missed from Anagha. Can these opportunities be directly shared with our network through social media or WhatsApp?
Yes, very easy. You go to an opportunity, click on share button and share it to wherever you want. And you will get a customized link for each, so that in your analytics, you automatically get to see how many came from Facebook, how many came from Twitter. All of those integration is already done. All you have to do is copy the link and keep sharing it. Yep. So just wanted to also tell you about how we are pricing it when we launch. So the simple plain vanilla VMS, we are launching at maybe a price of a dinner of 2, so 3,500 rupees a month. And because IWT and Megha and I spoke about 5,000 being high on a higher side, so can you do something? So obviously, we are saying that we are launching at this price. But Megha, when we publish this on YouTube, maybe we'll have to remove the pricing. We don't know the pricing in the future. And the branded community portal for nonprofits is going to be around 9,000-10,000 rupees a month. So if you want to launch your own, this is something that anybody who is spending in technology and hiring one person out there, the cost. So we're trying to make your go-to-market much faster, so that you can just, on a few clicks, go live very soon. So Shrikant, we did not speak about aggregator marketplace pricing here because it is dicey. Requirements are very different of different organizations, because governance of aggregator marketplace is a tricky thing. But you can expect around a 25,000 rupee month or a 22,000 rupee per month as a launch price. And it also depends on the number of volunteers. If the number of volunteers are less, then maybe starting price would fly. But if the number of volunteers are in lakhs, because that is where the aggregator marketplace model works, right? So you have to be in a place where you can launch your aggregator with all of these features to a few lakh volunteers and a few thousand nonprofits, and drive traffic from both sides like your own Uber. And as the scale increases, the pricing also increases, but per volunteer price decreases with scale. So I think it's a very case-to-case basis, but starting with about, yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other question?
I think we can stop now. And Satyam, if you could put your contact detail slide, people can maybe take a screenshot, or they can fill out the feedback form to get in touch with you. Thanks. Karthik, if you could please stop recording.